Welcome to Women in the Know, where we discuss everything from politics and policy to relationships and marketing. We take the things we have learned through our life experience, our businesses, and our interviews to share them with you and hope that we all can glean a little something extra from it. So, Rebecca, today we wanted to talk about listening to your intuition and following that inner voice. We talked about it a little bit with our interview with Dori Roberts, Stewart. Yeah. And I think it's an interesting thing because I know for me, I've heard that inner voice sometimes. And when I've not listened to it, things have not gone like I thought they would or gone well. So I think it's something that a lot of people talk about, but she really put it into practice and just had that leap of faith that the way her life was leading her, the path she was being led down, not necessarily intentionally.
Right.
Was the right path, and she just followed her gut. So, I mean, have you had that experience in your life?
I have quite frequently, actually, being in touch with the intuition, and trusting it, and taking some major leaps and risks because I did trust it. One of the things that I was curious about is, are we more in touch with our intuition when we don't have plans or expectations? Because Dori talked about truly not having any expectations from her parents. There were no standards for her, other than to be average and to get a job. And I wonder if she was in touch more with her intuition because she wasn't measuring it to a particular expectation that I should be this or I should have this accomplished. That wasn't set for her, nor did she set it for herself. I guess that's my question. I wonder if that allowed that still small voice, that intuition, to come up and said, here's your gifts, here's your passions, here's your purpose. How about you go this direction? And every time she was prompted, she responded. And then her clients and the students and her parents gave her feedback, and she would be prompted again and she would go on. But I guess that's my question. I wonder if there's a connection between not having this is where I'm going, which then allows intuition to say, I think we should go this way.
Mm-hmm. It's a really interesting question. And I don't know that I know the answer to that. I think that, and I think it can be very individual. Like I have a child who's 22 and he's in college and he's majoring in music business and he's a senior, like he should be finishing, but he feels like it's not the right path. He's like, what do I do with that? What do I do with the music business? I feel like I'm on the wrong path. And he's listening to that voice. I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing. And 5 years ago, I would have said, you need to hurry up and finish. I mean, why are you taking so long? We got 5 kids to get through school. You can't be not making progress. But in the last few years, and I think the pandemic has helped, but I also think just experience has helped. College is not a bad place to be if you're a college student. I mean, if you're that age right now, it's safer than being out in the real world trying to find a job in a pandemic. But also, I think, Donald and I kind of stopped and listened to him and said, if you feel like you're not on the right path, you need to figure out what your path should be. And there's no flaw in changing it now. And if you need to stop, like take a semester off or take a year off and figure it out and then re-enter on a different path, that's fine. This is an investment in the next 40 years of your life. So, and he's like, well, if I don't take a class, I'm scared I won't go back. And I said, well, I get that too, because that does happen to people. Right. So we were like, take a class, keep your foot in the door. So he ended up signing up for 2, an academic class and a music jazz band, because he loves that. And he's slowing down and kind of taking this time to research and talk to his advisors and see what it would take to make a shift. Like, is it more important to just get out and get on with it? Or is it more important to reevaluate his whole major? I don't know the answer for him, but I think allowing him to listen to that voice and say, I am not going in a direction I want to be. I don't think this is my path, is important. And I think wouldn't have done that several years ago. I'd have been frustrated.
Well, especially since you're a control freak.
Right. I mean, I do have that problem.
Right, where it has to sort of measure. And I think that's the point I was trying to make, is I wonder how often we don't hear the intuition. I mean, that's different than a feeling that says, I don't want to go to school,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
The intuition that's saying maybe my passion is somewhere else, or I'm being led in another direction. So that to me is different than I hate doing homework,
Mhm.
right? That's a different,
Yeah, and I think that's where I would have gone with him in his
yeah.
younger years. But he's genuinely being thoughtful, and he's got a mature way of thinking, and I trust him when he tells me things. So I think that knowing that that's where he is listening to that voice makes it easy for me to say you're allowed to take a minute and figure it out.
Well, and Dori brought up the thing about she acted on her intuition,
Mhm.
but she knew it was the right direction based on the results,
Mhm.
right? Based on the feedback she got, which then brought up more intuition. She acted on that and she got great results. So there appears to be kind of a feedback loop with this intuition. It's one thing just to willy-nilly decide to go do something, but if you're not getting some kind of feedback, whatever that is, money, success, fulfillment, whatever that feedback is, for her, it was verbal feedback and transformation in the kids that she was teaching that let her know she was on the right track and she could continue to stay on that track. That track changed a couple of times as it continued to expand. But that first stepping out was purely an intuition, purely a passion, purely purpose driven, and she trusted it.
Mhm. Which is huge, I think, trusting it.
I want to be a Dori when I grow up.
Yeah. I think that's pretty brave.
It is pretty brave. It is pretty brave. Well, okay, now that we have solved the intuition question, or at least got the question started, I'm curious what other people think. If they listen to their intuition, when do they know it's intuition versus a feeling that, it's just
Mhm.
getting in the way, or a thought that's getting in the way? And how do you know when you're going the right direction? I'd be curious to hear from others.
Well,
How
and I
they,
also want to know if you have had the intuition and not followed it, how has that worked out for you?
yeah, yeah, I've had a few of those.
Regret when you don't listen to it.
Who, right? Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week on Women in the Know.
All right.